everyone, welcome to Shell's Sugar Rush. Welcome back if you've been here before. Today we're going to be making these adorable little St. Patrick's Day cake pops, and I'm going to show you just how simple and easy they are. So stick around and make some cake pops with me, and if you haven't already, make sure you hit the subscribe button and also the notifications bell so you will be notified when I upload more videos like this. So let's make some cake pops. So we're going to start with some leftover cake. So I've got some vanilla cake left over from a cake that I had to carve the other day. So we'll start with that, and I'm just going to kind of crumble it up. It does have a little bit of icing between the layers. So there's a little bit in there already, but we'll probably add just a little bit more to get our cake to the consistency that we want, which will be like a Play-Doh consistency. And it's so important to find the right consistency, because if you put too much icing, your cake dough is going to be too soft and just hard to have it firm enough to dip. And of course, if you don't put enough, then it's going to be too dry and your cake pops will just crumble. You can see it's coming together. It's smashing together, but still way too dry. And I just happen to have some blue buttercream left over. So I'm gonna go ahead and add the blue, which is fine because it's gonna give us a nice green color once we mix it together. It's gonna give us a nice green color, which will be actually good for our St. Patrick's Day cake pops. So this is the messy part. We're gonna mix that blue icing into the cake real good. Okay, so we've got a nice Play-Doh consistency, so let's check that out. And I'm just gonna take out my scale. I like to use my scale for weighing my cake pops. So I've got it on ounces, and I usually will do 1 ounce per cake pop. Okay, 1 exactly, okay. Okay, we're gonna go with that and see how these do. Okay, and I'm gonna get these all rolled out, and I'm gonna pop them in the fridge for about 15 minutes, just let them firm up a little bit before I put the sticks in them and start dipping, okay? Okay guys, so here's our rolled cake balls. I think they look pretty good, so we're gonna pop these in the fridge for about 15 minutes, just so they can firm up a little bit. Okay, so I've decided I'm gonna do 3 different designs with these, and I'm gonna do a little pot of gold, and then I'm gonna do some with just some green sanding sugar, and I'm gonna do a few with a little mug that'll have some sprinkles on top, or sanding sugar that'll look like kind of foam like beer. So for that, I'm gonna take a few and just kind of smash them down and make 2 flat sides and kind of roll them here between my hands and just make it more in the shape of a mug, okay? So we want kind of a cylinder, I guess. Kind of a cylinder with 2 flat sides there. So I'm gonna roll a few of those into that shape, and then I may just maybe stick those back in the fridge to firm up a little more. But because the more you mess with them, the warmer they tend to get, so. But you can see just kind of rolling it there between my hands and then flatten out the bottom and the top. And it might take a little time just to get it to the exact shape you want there. Okay. So just do a few of those, and then we'll come back and start dipping. Okay guys, I think we're ready to dip, and I'm going to just pull this over a little bit. Just a little tip that I learned from someone else, and this is the best tip I ever got when it comes to working with chocolate. You see here I have this pad I have right here is actually the inside of a heating pad. And I saw that somebody else was using a heating pad to keep their chocolates nice and warm while they were working with them, so it wouldn't set up too fast. And I had one, I pulled it out, pulled the cover off of it, wiped it down, and I've been using it ever since. And this thing is just amazing. So once you've melted your chocolate, you see here I have my green, and I've got it melted to the consistency that I need. And I'm going to keep it sitting here, so that's why I like to use the glass dishes, the glass measuring cups. I've got it sitting here so they'll hold heat and it'll stay warm, and not warm enough to burn, but warm enough to keep our consistency while we're working with our chocolate. Okay, so just a little tip there. So I've got some sticks ready, and we'll pull some of those out. And then over here I've got just some sanding sugars that I plan to use on the pops. So, and I'm gonna need something to stand them up in, huh? I'm just gonna grab one of these little styrofoam blocks here that I have, and we use that to stand them up on after we dip them. The ones that are going to stand up, of course. Okay, now I also have a couple of bowls, and I keep those handy, just some little plastic, just bowls I use to, for the sprinkles when I am using sprinkles, so I have something to catch the sprinkles so they don't go everywhere. So what I'm going to do now is just take my sticks and put them in the pops, okay, and give them a few minutes to set up. So I'm just going to dip the ends, and you can see here, I didn't use too much there, just, and pop that in there. And I want to I want it to go down a pretty good ways, okay? So, but I don't want it to go all the way to the bottom and go through to the other side. Because then it's just going to split your cake pop in two. And you can kind of, once you do a couple, you can see, because you just want to even them up there, and you know you've got them all in about the same amount on the depth. Okay. So we'll get all these sticks in here, and like I said, we'll let that chocolate set for a few minutes and then start dipping. Okay, so our sticks are in, and like I said, we're going to give them a few minutes, maybe 5 or 10 minutes just to set, so they'll hold real well inside there when we do our dipping. It's not really necessary to put them back in the refrigerator. You can if you want, but you don't want them to be too cold when you start dipping, because that will then cause you to get cracks in your cake pops after that chocolate sets. So we'll be back in just a few minutes to dip them. Okay, so I've got my bowls ready, I've got my sanding sugars ready, and I've got some chocolate ready, and I'm just using almond bark today. And you see I've got the green chocolate ready, and I actually colored it. And once you color it, it seems like when you add a good bit of color to it, it does start to thicken up a little bit, and you want a nice, not too thin but not too thick consistency, because you don't want it too thick that it's going to weigh your cake balls and pull them off the stick, okay? So, and then of course you don't want it too thin that, you know, it's too hot and maybe it may end up cracking. So I like to use the coconut oil, the solid coconut oil, to thin my chocolates, just because when you want a thin chocolate, you want to use Paramount Crystals or something that's a solid like this coconut oil, so that it's going to come back to a solid. If you use vegetable, I know some people use vegetable oil, if that works fine for them, then you know that's fine, but it will change the consistency of your chocolate on the cake pop, and in my experience will cause it to feel softer or be softer. So you want something that is a solid, so that it's going to come back to a solid once it's set on your cake pops. Okay? So I am going, and I have a little cup here just in case this gets too low, because it is a little wider, so that I can have something that will get a little deeper to dip in for me. But anyway, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start with one with sanding sugar, a simple one. So, and sometimes you may want to kind of just straighten it back out, kind of push it back if you get that flat spot on top, if that bothers you. So anyway, okay, so we're going to dip this and see how this one's going to come out. And I'm just going to get the stick out of my chocolate here so it won't be in the way. And you want to do it in one quick motion. So I'm going to dip it in, let it get to the top, and pull it straight back up. And just shake it for a little bit until that drip of chocolate starts to get less and less, okay? But you don't want to shake it too long that it sets. So just kind of turn it in, and then I'm going to just sprinkle. Okay, there you go. And that one is done, okay? So now I'm gonna do one that I'm gonna sit back on here because it's gonna be for a pot of gold. So with this one, I'm not concerned about the flat spot on top. That'll actually help us out a little bit. So let's move these out of the way, and I'm gonna dip this one straight down and straight back up. Let some of that chocolate fall off. But we still want to have a little kind of padding on a flat surface on the bottom. So what I'm going to do is sit it right here on the parchment paper. I'm going to hold it there just for a minute because it may, sometimes they'll tend to slide around. So we'll go ahead and dip a few of those and let them sit over here and set, and then we'll do our gold on top. Okay, and it's getting a little low in here. So I am going to transfer it to the smaller cup, just so we can get some more depth, okay? You don't want your cake pops to have to go all the way down in it. You don't want to have to turn it and tilt it to get it on there, because the longer it stays in that chocolate, the more chance that chocolate's going to pull your cake pop off that stick. We've got a little more depth there for dipping. So we're going to take one of our mugs and just dip it till the cup comes all the way to the top, and shake it and do just what we did with the others. Once we see it that drip start to get a little less and less, it might be better to stand these up. Okay, there we go. And we don't want to put our white sanding sugar on there yet for that foam, because if we do, it's going to catch all around the sides and everywhere. We will wet the top again just barely when we're ready to brush that sanding sugar on, okay? So we'll finish dipping these. There we go, and we'll let those set. Now, okay guys, so there you go. You see our ones with the sanding sugar. And now we're going to finish our little mugs and our pot of gold. So for our pot of gold, you see here, we've got a nice little pot shape with flat top, because we put them upside down on the parchment paper. Now this time we're going to be standing them up, okay? So first, what we're going to need is a little bit of, we're going to need a little bit of chocolate on the top, and then of course our gold. I've got some gold sanding sugar here, okay? So what we're going to do is just take our chocolate, and I'm going to just take my little stick and just put some chocolate on there, okay? And I'm going to sprinkle the top. Okay? And just sprinkle it, pretty heavily. Got all that chocolate covered. There we go. See how easy that was? All right. So now we're going to do that with the rest of these, and then we'll do the top of our little mug. All right. So now we'll do the white. So what we're going to do here is I'm actually going to dip this in the pink, or the leftover pink chocolate I had. I'm actually going to dip in there because I would rather have a lighter surface underneath the white. So I'm just going to take it. Now for this one, I'm going to dip the whole top because we want the whole top covered pretty well, since we're want to give the image of foam on here, okay? So I've got just like that, and I'm gonna drop the sanding sugar right on there. And actually, see this one, I kind of purposely let it come down the side, come over the side a little bit, I just want to kind of see what that would look like with a little overflow in one area. So that way it kind of makes it look like the foam is coming over the side of the glass. And you guys, you can even add a little, handle to this. I know I've seen some that are like that. I probably won't to these, but if you wanted to, you could actually take a little piece of pretzel, a little piece of the curve of the pretzel, and break it off and just dip it in your chocolate and just stick it right on to the side there. And that'd be cute as well. All right, everyone, so our St. Patrick's Day cake pops are done, and you can see how simple and easy these little treats are to make. A great little activity to do with kids, grandkids, even nieces and nephews. We do this kind of thing in our family with the children all the time, and they thoroughly enjoy it. So if you enjoyed the video, make sure and give it a thumbs up and let me know what you thought of our cake pops in the comments. I love hearing from everybody. And thank you again for all your support. If you haven't already subscribed, please hit the subscribe button as well as the notifications bell so you'll be notified when I upload more treats just like this. See you next time.